So as we were saying, the point of the meditation is to make you free of to free your attention from being tangled in compulsive, involuntary thinking that veils the beauty of this moment. So it's about letting go of doing. So whatever exercise we do today, just remind yourself that towards the end of the meditation, you should be doing less than when you started. It should be a more comfortable, restful, deeper sense of familiar depth, of freshness and intimacy with this moment, with being alive, the most simple. Most simple miracle. So once your body is comfortable, you want to let your body sort of fall asleep as you are sitting. So let it rest in a position where the spine is probably kind of straight, in balance, like the stones you see on the beach, where one stone is put on top of another, they all together, finding, using gravity to stay aligned. Same way, your spine straight and ready to stay comfortable for a long time. Without doing much, your muscles will start relaxing. You don't need to try to relax. It's kind of a consequence of just stopping. Similar to what you do every night when you're falling asleep. Let go of your mind and your body. Like everything's fine, it's time to rest. The difference obviously is that in here we want to remain awake beyond our thinking, beyond attachment to our body. So let layers of activity to start falling out from you. Just rest in the simplicity of this moment without doing much. Without trying to, you should notice that your breath, as you relax, its center kind of falls down into your belly. The breathing becomes deeper, but not deeper in the sense of more air, deeper in the sense of lower down your spine. It's not something you do, it's something that happens when you stop doing, stop trying to control this moment. Some days, sometimes, you will find very sweet calm. The voices in your head moving to the background to the point that sometimes there is no even thinking. There is just experiencing this moment directly. The most natural and peaceful thing in the world. If your mind stays still, you could just let it happen. See how far you can go, deepening the sense of calm and rest. But most of the time, for most people, after a little while, you'll find there's sort of like an invisible activity, layers of tension that doesn't let your mind rest. If you're alone at home, maybe comes thoughts from your work, from someone, something someone said, or like your mind doesn't want to shut down. It gets nervous when the silence naturally appears. Your mind starts avoiding this moment, the silence, the aliveness, because it's peeling your mind like an onion, going deeper where there is tension we don't actually want to see most of the time. So your mind will try to distract you from the beauty and innocence of this moment. Realize that most thoughts are unwanted. It's not something you decided to think. It's like a compulsive activity that takes your attention from this moment, goes into thinking something just to fill the gap. But it's so unusual to notice when you're thinking and when you're not. We have so many thoughts, thousands and thousands of thoughts every day, to the point that we don't even notice that we're thinking. So maybe you're sitting, and a classical, if not the biggest limitation to practice meditation is that your mind just distracts you. You're so used to follow it that it feels natural and you don't notice, but that's really not freedom. So gently tell your mind, thank you for your service, but for the next few minutes, I don't need you. I don't need to think on anything. I don't need to control anything. I don't need your commentaries on anything. It's your mind. To some extent, will obey a bit. So in order to release your attention from the movements of your mind, we're going to play a game with the mind, because it's okay if it doesn't want to rest right away. There are reasons why you don't want just to open all your fears, all your past, everything at once. There are reasons for that. It's not a bad thing. So don't try to separate yourself from your mind and thinking that the mind is wrong and is bad. Don't feel guilty because you think. Don't try to directly control your mind. But you can play games. And the game we're going to try now is to set your attention in the center of your heart. Center of your chest. Let the attention be released from your brain, head, and let it sink down, down, down into your heart. The sensation of the center of your chest is always there, and your brain is always noticing it. So it's not something you really do. It's more like you are letting go of all the above superficial activities and reconnect, rediscover the sensations in that part of your body in an effortless way. Your mind may be sticky. In some way you notice there are difficulties in sustaining your awareness of the center of the chest. But relax and collect your attention, the sensations in the center of your chest, and render useless the rest of activities in your brain and other perceptions or sensations. In order to sustain your attention in there, you need to do less and less. You need to let go of all the involuntary activities in your mind. Your body relaxes. As you remove the energy from the head and move it down to your chest, meaning your attention, your interest, your face may relax. You are just resting your attention. You're resting your mind too. But by noticing one specific part, one center, it will be easier to notice when your mind is taking you away. So make a relaxed but authoritative statement without words to rest your attention in your chest. Everything else doesn't matter. In order to make it a little easier, you could notice the sensations of the breath in the center of your chest. It's not like you're trying to control your breath or anything. Just noticing the very subtle movements and sensations associated with breath in the center of your chest. the silence of the heart. You don't need to do anything. Doesn't matter how many times your mind may take your attention away. Just relax. It's an effortless intention that we're dealing here. Just take interest in the sensations in the center of your chest and render everything else as not relevant for now. There may be sounds, thoughts, sensations. Let go of everything and rest your attention in the center of your chest. It's like a cleaning of involuntary activity, like disentangling your involuntary attention. You are freeing your attention. Every time you find yourself distracted, relax and resume resting your mind in the center of your chest. You are freeing up and weakening the momentum of involuntary thoughts in your mind. You are cleaning your perception of the present moment. Stabilize your attention. Notice how the sense of presence heightens. The mind gets calmer. Your body relaxes deeper and deeper, as if you were falling asleep, paying attention to the center of your chest. And as you rest your attention in your chest, you do it long enough, you feel as if your heart will sort of wake up, as if your chest would open. You'll notice more energy in your chest without doing anything, just resting your attention and discarding any distraction. It's effortless. Don't try hard. It's okay if your mind is distracting you all the time. That's okay. Just relax. Every time you go back to the center of your chest, it's a win. It's a release of trapped attention. So be patient and trust that you don't need your mind. And as your attention is more and more stable, the sense of relaxation deepens, sense of clarity awakens. If so, then you can extend your focus to all your body. Not just the center of the chest, but everything that you call your body. Rest your attention, noticing every cell, its volume, space, all the sensations as a whole, your sense of being alive in your body. The strategy of your mind is to distract you, to divide and conquer you. Your strategy is the opposite, to collect your attention with continuity and effortlessness in your body and trust. There is nothing else that you should be paying attention to. It's your mind playing tricks on you. It's okay. There is less and less activity as your mind lets go of involuntary processes and distractions. Just a deep sense of relaxation, clarity, wakefulness, presence. If that's so, then you can even let go the intention of holding your attention in your body and embrace everything that you could call perception with your senses. And rest your attention on anything or everything at the same time. The only thing that matters that you keep and sustain this relaxed wakefulness, clarity, consistency of presence. You don't need to control your attention. Just relax so much that your attention becomes steady. Quality of attention is more important than what you're noticing, if it's a sound in the street, sensation in your body, or even a thought. The important thing is the quality of your attention, the consistency. go. It's a soft touch, an effortless kind of attention. It's so effortless that thinking feels like an activity, and you just want to rest and sleep awake. Noticing everything without missing anything, without contracting your focus. Just rest in open awareness. In order to allow a consistent and solid awareness, you need to relax. It's the only thing you have to do, to not do anything. You don't even care about thinking. You're so immersed in perceiving this moment as it is directly, so interested in everything that happens, that being alive becomes more and more intense and yet relaxed. Your mind will try to contract your attention in your head. That's okay. Just let go of that contraction and embrace everything you could perceive in this moment. An openness, as if you were in every little bit of perception. You are the observer and you are the observed. Let go of any intention to control anything. Just rest. How deep can you trust? Let go of any activity. Just be present. The most passive and yet awakened state. How much can you let go? It's an exploration. Make sure your body is completely relaxed, your breath is flowing effortlessly, and your mind is also allowed to rest. At this point, you let go even the attempt to meditate. You are just resting in the most essential way. You don't need to do anything. It's your awareness. It's how you know you're alive right here, right now. You don't need to do anything to notice that. Just rest in that recognition that you are already present effortlessly. We're going to finish very soon, so sustain your intention of letting go of your mind completely and rest in the most fundamental existential way of being. As if you were a baby that doesn't know how to think. As if you were a plant that is just innocent, just effortless being. Let go of all the pain in your heart, of all the things you're trying to defend yourself from. Let go of all your past, all your future, and trust that you're fine just being. You don't even need to think. Just trust and rest in wakefulness. Explore how deep can you let go of yourself and rest. The most peaceful presence. Just for 1 minute more, one last, letting go. How deep can you let go of yourself? Just remain awake effortlessly. You can start breathing a little deeper. Maybe moving your fingers or your toes a little bit. Inhaling deeply wherever you're comfortable, you can move, open your eyes, but take your time. To some extent, and of course will depend on how much you have explored this, but keeping your body still and letting go of your mind and whatever kind of technique, it slows down your mind, doesn't it? At least it slows it down. It is true that in the very beginning, most people, they're not aware of their thinking. When they stop, as if you will block the energy, will feel more of their thoughts. So definitely, if some of you are not very experienced meditating, don't worry. You feel that your thinking sort of accelerates a little bit, or you get more aware of your thinking. The important thing is to keep trying out the explorations, the exercises. And the point in here would be that we live under the assumption that we're free. Like if it's something could be in the Constitution and you're free. But freedom to go on vacation, freedom to, even when you succeed with that, you bring your mind and you bring your problems in there. Wherever you go, there you are. Same fears. You move to a new place, new city, they will just pop up slowly but surely. You follow me? There are studies that show that people who win the lottery or move to a very beautiful place to live, they've been so excited, they're finally accomplished something in their life. After 3 to 6 months, their sense of satisfaction is exactly the same as it was before. But it also goes the other way around. And people who have a horrible accident and they cannot move anymore, or very dramatic situations like that, they also tend to go back to this average level of satisfaction they had before. So real freedom is freedom from ourselves, freedom from our mind, which is something that in our... We used to have religions, and people used to be very superstitious, and out of fear of all the atrocities we live, we move into science. Like, now someone publishes a blog and say something about science. Oh, nobody questions it. Like, it's the truth, science. But there are some flaws in seeing it like from anything. I mean, if you're a religious person and you have certain beliefs that even they might be very practical for many people, it also will bring with a price. You'll have to lead everything through this dogma, right? Same thing with science. There are some assumptions which are not scientific at all, but everybody assumes. And one of them is that we think we are just, even it doesn't make any sense, just out of statistics, the chances that you are alive are really, 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 really small. I mean, that your DNA from all the permutations possible just came up. It just doesn't, mathematically, many things about life just doesn't make any sense. Nevertheless, we come out of the idea, yeah, we probably were just animals, and we just developed a bit more of a brain, and now I can think, and now I'm aware. But this is something that there's no proof of that really. In circles of science, this is seriously being questioned and thought for a very long time, because there is no way to find out if you were first consciousness and then you took a body with some sort of process, or the other way around. You were a body, you grow your brain, and then you're aware. Why is that important? Because if you assume you grow out of your brain, of course, for most people, the idea of not thinking sounds the definition of stupidity. You're going to be dumb. You're not going to be smart enough to deal with your life. But directly the opposite is kind of true. Let's put it this way. If any of you would rest your mind just for a few minutes, whatever you do afterwards, you will be way more focused. Your mind is way more able to deal with the situation. So from our lifestyle, it could be said that you need to stop your mind, as if you had to restart your computer after having viruses and stuff. This ad is just popping all the time, and your computer is behaving in ways you cannot control. Well, question is, do you have control of your mind? It's an interesting question, right? I mean, people who suffer from anxiety, depression, and things like that, to some extent, they know they cannot control themselves. And all of us know that, right? To some extent. Yeah, especially when you're into a cycle of something negative in your life, you cannot get out of it. Maybe something you notice that there is no point of keep on hating someone from the past that is not even in your life anymore, or something like that. But still, it's there. It's there. It's ruminating. It's like, is that true? Okay, thank you. I'm saying that because the funny thing is that we have like 50,000 thoughts a day. And the question will be, how many of these thoughts are conscious? People talk all the time about making choices in life, thinking positively, or whatever it is. Like, they just take for granted they can control their mind. It's a really bad starting point, because that's the way you will just keep all your life trying to change your behavior and trying to control your life in so many ways. It always gets back at you, right? So meditation, one way of seeing it, of course, is not the only one, but it's a really simplistic way of thinking how that can benefit your life. It's really like being able to shut down all this background process of the operating system that are really driving you crazy, literally. this is a beautiful day. This is a beautiful moment right here and now. I cannot see any problem in here. Do you see any problem in here? In this room? Us here now? Pretty good, right? And yet, it doesn't feel like that. There is a momentum of emotions, thinking, going on in your life in the background of our minds that are conditioning all the time. So there are chances that you're living in paradise, but you don't notice. You cannot notice. You go in the street, there's this beautiful sun, and until there are so many problems, so many things you can be taken care of. So hopefully meditation through this collecting your attention kind of exercises, it makes you aware that you are enslaved by the government, no by Facebook or anything. You're all the time, your attention is like going out of any thought that crosses your mind. And that's the definition of chaos. And in a very simple way, is the definition of stress and suffering. Is like your vital energy that you got out of sleeping, hopefully, maybe sometimes having a good sleep or good rest, you wake up and feel fresh. You're up for everything, but everything's pulling out of you, and then you fight, you do everything, but in the end of the day, the natural joy that you will see in a small kid goes away. Adults, we are way more. We have accumulated a lot of momentum of things we don't even know they're there. So the experiment of meditation, nobody wants you to believe anything. That's a really, really good starting point, which not even science many times can be say they do, because you need to start from some assumptions in order to start a theory or in order to make an experiment. So many times they are already flawed. Like you type on Google, drinking cola is bad. You could type, drinking cola is good. You're going to find all the reasons in the world for literally believing anything you would like to. So the question is, can you not stop, but more like rest your mind, like letting go of it. It just doesn't matter if it's like a radio or your phone. It's there, it's working. Right now, I'm pretty sure Google is listening to me. It's just there. And when I open Instagram, it's going to come with a lot of suggestions on how I should improve my life and what I should be paying attention to. But hopefully you feel that you don't need to be paying attention to it all the time, right? So it's not that I'm suggesting you to completely drop off your mind all the time continuously. That's not the case. Like trying to stay in a cave for 12 hours a day, just not moving, trying to pretend you're very still. No, that's not the point. Point is to start releasing your attention from things. Sitting meditation is a formal way, universal for every human and every moment of doing that, and you can go to a great depth because there's many people who work on that to very subtle levels for thousands of years. So it's a great thing that I cannot stop, of course, suggesting everyone, but ultimately it's your sense of presence that you take everything and every time. So are you aware of your mind all the time? Not like making an effort trying to be aware of it. The opposite would be becoming so present in what you're doing that you almost no think. If you, and please go and check this if you find that it's not true, but whenever you have a good moment, I don't know, let's say with your family, good friends, or having one of these moments that you say, this is it. This is the thing that I will be living for the rest of my life. This is happiness. Pay attention to where your attention is. Just to figure out how to be happy, right? That will be your exploration. What is a happy moment? How do you experience? Not what someone says, but do you, in your experience, how do you experience that? I bet you're going to find, you may not understand what's happening. You may understand things, but I feel energetic, or different things. But if you specifically focus on how your mind is operating, you're going to start finding some very relevant conclusions. And first thing, and a very funny one, is if you maybe go back to your memory and review a very, very happy moment, you will see you had a very strong sense of presence. Presence will be a word in the sense of you're with this person, you are doing, I don't know, sport, or you are dancing, or you are even drunk, right? Drunks are toxic ways of tricking your brain of not thinking or slowing down or divert your regular patterns, right? It's just, as we know, it's toxic. So that's why I wouldn't suggest, nevertheless, done in the proper way, the right amount. It's not something to avoid, maybe. But the sense of aliveness and a happy moment. Do you follow me with that? It is. I'm not talking about theory. I want to relate it to something that is valuable. So the question would be, okay, how you do that? Because just to spoil a little bit the investigation on your own, at some point you start noticing that it's not even what you are perceiving. It's not the place. It doesn't matter you're in a beach, or it doesn't matter you're in a basement. It is the quality of your attention that makes that sense of shining, which is a very important recognition, because it gives you all the power in this world to you now. Suddenly you don't depend on things, on stuff, to feel this fulfillment. But you need to figure out how not to be constantly investing your attention on random things, because that's, if you check on your thoughts, you're going to find out that most of your thoughts are not even yours, in the sense that you decided, I'm going to think this, and it just pops in your head like the sounds in the street. That's one of the recognitions that come deeper, that go deep into a more sustainable happiness. That's when you recognize that it sounds, some people may get angry. You definitely fight with that idea that everything in you, as you call you, your name, your is so random. There is something, no, that cannot be. I own my life. But it's not meant to create that. It's just about freedom. So meditation is about freeing that, and important point is you are in these first level meditations where you're trying to control your attention in some way. You may use it with a mantra, you may listen to music. You may go for a run and go into this hypnotic state where whatever it is, just a starting point where you are, do that. I would say actually do that already. Suggest everyone to do that, because I see all the time, and the reason why I organize this meditation, I see all the time going on these random meditations like mindfulness, this, that, the other, but they have zero quality of understanding of how you deepen into that. Because if you cannot sustain your attention into something little, whatever you choose, whatever you like, could be an image in your mind, you cannot hold your attention in there, then whatever you do with your attention, so that's why people meditate for 20 years and they don't seem to have got to a revolutionary way of living. So focus your attention, stabilize your attention, which for most people it will be already boring. Like you're focused on that and your mind takes you out and you go back. That's why people, no, I need another meditation. There's an app where can get like 3,000 million meditations. And I like this one. Well, whatever meditation, if you practice with a guided meditation, please, it's a great place to start. But I would say, okay, whenever you got it, do it without the audio. That's the way you get to the next level. That's the way you start noticing. Otherwise, you're just following the audio and hoping, I'm stressed. I need my meditation to take me out this stress. It's just not going to work. I mean, it's going to work a little bit, but you're going to quit meditation. But if you get to the point that you stay long enough in this resting, in this presence, and you get out, like an alcoholic will go out for a long time without drinking, at some point something cracks. Hopefully many of you have got to this point. Everybody lives, it's just you never notice what make you happy. What was the quality of it? So that's why nobody is looking in the right place. As we're looking for happiness in things because we don't get it. It's not things, it's your attention that determines how you feel in this moment. So, print these reminders, please, are for you to take if you find it inspiring. Take one from Eckhart Tolle, cool guy. He says, the cause of suffering is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. Sounds too simplistic, right? Sounds like, oh yeah, that sounds too easy. But I'm really asking. I'm not wanting from you any answer that is not the truth. Is that true? Is it true that okay? Like what? You mean as an example? But who was suffering? Who was suffering in the equation? The nurse who were. Okay, that's a topic that goes into compassion. So okay, let's do something. Let's take it further, because not everybody mentions the more fullness of the equation of full happiness independently of what happens. I really, really, really want to share that message, but we need to make some concessions, not to go 1 hour talking about other things. So yes, but actually I would say no. In the sense of, for your friend to help that person, to which extent is the suffering useful? You know? And I say this just for everyone in your own personal exploration. To which extent is suffering inevitable and useful? Probably that's two good questions, right? Because it happens, yes. 99.9% of humans feel suffering to the point that everybody's counting that it's just the way it is. Yes. But it has to be so. I also know many of you have lived something that people say, oh, you're such a hero. How could you go through that? You know? All of you have been heroes some way, right? I know. At some point you did something, you didn't notice that you did anything meaningful, but for some reason all people say, I will never be able to do that, but you did it. What I'm trying to say is that if you stay in the moment and you stay in the most practical and functional situation, suffering, you will notice suffering some sort of like a commentary that goes after the situation. It's not functional thinking. It's not functional reaction. It's not practical. It is yes. It's like a ball of pain we are living out of living experience of living in a body and having been seeing so many people going through some, and we wonder why. Is there any God out there? How this can happen? So let's go think of science and let's say think everything is random. It's the best solution, because if you think there is any force behind life, you will say it's evil. You're right. There's some. Just yesterday, my wife was telling of someone we know, the little kid just playing in the backyard in a party, just drawn in the pool, 2 years old. In a party, everybody, but nobody noticed. Suddenly, boom, bam. And what I'm trying to say is that, of course, we all experience, I'm not denying the fact that there are things that happen. But if you will deeply, profoundly, if it happened to you and really want to go investigate the question, you will notice that we go for many assumptions in order to suffer. To start with, in that specific case, we'll already need to take in a lot of beliefs, dogmas, and assumptions about what death is, about what life is, about what the meaning of anything is. And it's not important to go, because we take it for granted. Of course, it's a bad thing. But if you really wanted to find the truth and you start really seriously considering every option, you will notice that that's a way of seeing it. Okay, but as you see, the topic is very deep. I want to synthesize, I want to simplify in a way that it makes sense to you and you can use it to some extent. That's really the point of this sharing. So what never failed to me, of course, you need to, in this context, you need to learn to find your own trick of not thinking. By not thinking, we don't mean that your mind is completely stopped necessarily. You could be thinking in very practical sense, but that you're not swollen by your attention in conversations and you cannot pay attention to what's happening, right? So meditation is definitely a good way. Intense concentration. In order to last, it should be effortless. When that happens, hopefully through the meditation, did you had some gaps where you were actually feeling very, very much paying attention? Maybe to the center of your chest, maybe to everything. When that happened, wasn't to some extent evident the lack of mental activity? No, I'm talking about the moment where you notice the presence, when you notice your attention is clear. Does the thinking, the commenting on the situation, does decrease? Yeah, like the sounds in the street, that's what I'm saying, maybe gaps. Of course, if you keep practicing it, you will absolutely, all of you can get to the point where you experience no thoughts. It's a fact. It's something you're going to get there if you practice. Absolutely. And it feels as proportional to these little gaps. But hopefully through meditation, you most of you get to some points where maybe for a while, maybe just for a few seconds, but you feel sensation of like everything's clear, crystal clear, and there is just an intense sense of being alive, so intense that the thoughts in your mind, even when there are some, seem to be sort of in a background, like not pulling your attention. It's very intense perception, let's say. Is that true? Okay, that's a very, very important, relevant fact, as we discussed before, also for happiness in general. Try to do that all the time during the day, and you'll definitely improve your life a lot. Just don't get exhausted trying. But in reverse, when that happens, is there any chance of suffering? And I don't want to spoil the thing for you. I don't want to tell me what it looks like I'm asking you to say. But what you're going to find is that in that experience, if you don't think about it, life is kind of perfect and beautiful. Not only that, if you go, it's fantastic, marvelous, so impressive to be alive. like, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you are already beyond it. That's a bit of a thing. I know it's a bit contradictory from where we come. Like, we need to meditate, but meditation is a lot more like peeling. So all of you have in the center of your core, of your essence, have silence. If you're pushed under stress and throw you out of a plane, or do something to you, you will notice it just, there's an intense sense of presence. So it is already there. That's the good news. So it's more like a shifting of your attention. So you become not interested in your thinking. You become interested at first in something that went unnoticed, like a sensation in your chest, but it could be anything that you take for granted all the time. And you revert, collect your attention back into that, and then you move into that. And I imagine on the direction that you're saying, they're saying, okay, yeah, but my mind needs to be active to talk, to move, to go. So how can you sustain that? First thing, of course, the answer to that is an experience, in the sense that, like when someone tells you about love, yeah, you can go on making an exploration, dissection on explaining a kid what is romantic love, but only the moment that you're there, you just recognize it fully, right? So in the same way, even it may sound complicated or paradoxical to some extent, but you are more than your mind. So at some point, if you establish yourself in this witnessing and not re-energizing, because 90% of what you think is absolutely useless. I'm sorry, this sounds very hard to our egos. It is, I mean, most of it, psychologists estimate that is something like 60 to 90% negative thinking. So it's very high. And if you sit and meditate, that's the reason why many people don't do it, you will feel it and you will notice. So, but it's a very important revelation to notice that, because then all these things start making more sense and you start finding the path to real freedom. And it all happens little by little. I would say practice very, very relaxed concentration. I would say that's probably the best of my, and you will just see how it's just your mind sort of, your attention sort of disengages from the mind, because you're saying, no, you're calling your attention. No, here it goes. No, here. And you are debilitating the mind every time. I say this because most people in the very beginning go, oh, this thing of meditating is not for me because I lose it all the time. And it's very annoying to notice that I lost it. 20 minutes gone, the alarm goes on and you notice you weren't meditating at all. Well, in that case, maybe push it up a little bit, try new techniques. But if you find this sensation where you're coming back all the time, this is really good. Every time you come back, you're letting go of an involuntary thing and you're regaining, you're collecting, just keep on that path. And I promise you, and let me know if it's not the case and I will help you, because it's as simple as I'm talking. So sometimes people just have something around the wrong about the way they meditate. So, but it's that simple as that. You recollect that energy you're lost in because it's just hooked to any thought you cause. At some point, some sort of like stable concentration, single pointed exercise, you release of that. And then things start leveling up by itself, start becoming more like, you know what it is. You get a smile when you think of meditation. It's like, And truth is, if you practice only this single pointed steady focus, you go into orgasmic states. So it's possible for every human who will nurture this kind of focused meditation to go into ecstatic levels of happiness when you're sitting. Because when you wake up, the single pointed is off. But still, it's a great accomplishment. At that point, you just don't suffer in the regular sense of the word. You have zero addictions. You have an incredible disciplined mind. Like it wouldn't, if you say so, you say it goes so. I mean, it's joy. It's pure joy. It's just already like a lot. But going back to the question, good news is the essence of who you are already